Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Rachel Winstead, naturopathic physician and host of the ReBootology Health Podcast, an interview series with leading experts of highly effective natural solutions for the health and happiness challenges faced by the modern woman. Here at the ReBootology Podcast, we don't believe there are bad therapies, just therapies that aren't right for everyone, and we keep looking for better care options. We believe there's a place for both symptom relief and treating the root cause of illness in medicine, and that's why we are excited to be doing this series where we discuss different conditions and wellness approaches with experts in their field. Thank you for joining us for today's interview. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Rachel Winstead, naturopathic physician and host of the ReBootology Podcast. Today, we have Marisa Mancke with us. Marisa, please say hello to our audience, and I will give them some of your impressive background.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me, Rachel. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. So, Marisa Mancke is the founder of Happy Hour by Marisa, and Happy Hour by Marisa is located in the beautiful Kirkland, Washington area. Marisa works with people in all walks of life. She also offers classes both virtually and in person, which is something that's a little rare right now. It seems like all the gyms I know are no longer offering virtual classes. And I just love that Marisa is still offering all of her classes as both options for what works for people. And I know that Marisa describes her gym as a garage gym, but it's really so much more. It's a community, it's a supportive space. It also serves members from all over the world. It's really quite special. And I'm just so thrilled to have Marisa Mancke here to talk with us and help us get in the right headspace to invite really great health into our lives. Welcome to the ReBootology Podcast, Marisa. I'm so excited for today's interview.
I'm super excited too. This is such a great opportunity to hopefully open people's eyes a little bit and motivate people and inspire people to move a little bit, because it's something that can be so incredibly beneficial for all of us.
Oh, absolutely. I want to take a moment to remind everyone that we will not be answering questions during our live interview, but feel free to add comments and we will address them after the show. Okay, Marisa, thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I'm a fan of Happy Hour by Marisa. I've been a fan for many, many years. And when the pandemic hit, my gym shut down. And I bet a lot of our listeners have had the exact same experience. We didn't know. We didn't know. It was a scary time for everyone. And I love that in this time of uncertainty, you pivoted and started to stream your classes online so that you could continue to offer such a valuable community and resource to not only folks in Kirkland, but just throughout the whole United States, Washington State, and the world. And I really did see the length to which you went out of your way to offer highly impactful workouts that helped both calm our mental health and support our physical health, and really offer a genuine positive experience during a very scary time. And also, I love your social media. Folks, if you are not subscribed to Happy Hour by Marisa or unfamiliar with her, I encourage you to go check out her social media. I love seeing the positive posts, the little videos, the egg show. It's just something fun, and it always brightens my day. And I hate going on social media, but I love going on social media to see Marisa's content. Anyway, Marisa, I'd love it if you could just tell us a little bit about your background and how Happy Hour by Marisa came to be.
I would be happy to. There's a lot. I've been doing this a long time. I am, it's kind of overwhelming sometimes because you don't realize how fast time goes, and then you blink and you're 52 and have an 8-year-old. It's like, what happened, and where did that whole 30 years go?
Those 8-year-olds, so sassy, so
yes,
sassy.
He is. We're never bored. We are never bored. The interesting thing I think about fitness for me is that a lot of times fitness professionals, they were always fit and they just like to work out. So they ended up getting into fitness. And that is 100% not my story. I struggled with weight my whole life. I still honestly struggle. It is not an easy thing for me. I did not always love working out. I was raised that you only exercised if you were fat, needed to lose some weight, or maybe did a sport, right? I never definitely understood that you might just do it because it was important to take care of your health and feel good and feel strong and, even nurture your mental well being. That didn't come for me till quite a bit later into my journey. And I love that I can help share that with people now to avoid them from taking 20 to 30 years to learn that lesson. So I basically was recruited when I was in graduate school to be a step aerobics instructor, partially because I had some dance background and I was the wooer in the room, right? So I was always having fun and I picked up the choreography and the instructor came over and said, "You need to be a teacher." And I was like, "Oh, no way. No, absolutely not. No one would ever." So now, fast forward, I was at 24 Hour Fitness for 17 years. My position was eliminated company wide because I was in management at that point.
Hmm.
And I was at a complete loss for what I might do with my life because I genuinely lived for helping people and I didn't couldn't even conceptualize the idea of starting over at a big gym because 17 years at a big gym is like 50 at Boeing, right? It's a long time. And I didn't want to start from scratch somewhere else again. And I was like, well, I guess this is the universe's way of me saying it's time for me to launch my own thing. So I started Happy Hour by Marissa, but I was too scared to have my own place. And I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I didn't have a business plan and I didn't have any money. So I was like, well, this is going to be interesting. So I rented some space from a couple guys that worked for me at 24 Hour Fitness a long, long time ago. And then we sort of outgrew that. And then I opened the space that I'm in now 12 years ago. So
Wow.
it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy how everything has evolved. But that's how I got into fitness. My master's degree is in counseling. I thought I would be in the school system working with kiddos, and never in a million years thought that I would do anything fitness related for my life, which is, this isn't really just my career. This is just who I am. It's just, I live and breathe it. So, it's interesting. Doors open and doors close, and you never know. I just felt like I had um, something spoke to me that I needed to help regular people, that just might struggle with being motivated or struggle with weight or feel like, fitness is scary or that there's not a place for them. So, that was fundamentally how I got into it. And now it's been, it's about 30 years because I was in graduate school 30 years ago. So crazy.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know. It's
I,
crazy.
I could totally see counseling and motivating and just teaching because right, you're teaching, motivating, inspiring people just to be the best version of themselves, whether it's in the class or you know in other aspects of their life. Totally, just like two links in a chain. That's so awesome. I love that. I totally feel you. I've struggled with weight all my life, and I think so many of us have. I mean, yes, some people are just naturally thin, but I think there's a lot of us who have struggled with our weight and heard comments like, "You've got such a beautiful face, if only." And we realize it's a lot more complicated than what it is. And I know being in your 50s and me in my 40s, we we were the generation that grew up and then suddenly we're getting things like glyphosate and other things that are changing our hormones and changing our gut microflora. And we realize it's a lot more complicated than just having the willpower to not eat a third cupcake. And then you look at my grandmother who was healthy until 100 when she passed and, could eat anything she wanted and drink all the wine and never gain an ounce. It's a lot more complicated. And I loved what you just said about how when we were young, it was like Jack LaLanne, it was Chuck Norris, people who were fit because it wasn't because they were trying to prevent osteoporosis or something. They were just had a goal, a sport, or were a fitness influencer, trying to be on a swimsuit cover of some, Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover. It was not something that someone just said, oh, yeah, I'm going to go take a Pilates class 3 times a week for my mental health and to keep my core strength so that I don't have back pain or, so that I don't end up tripping on a carpet walking to the bathroom in the middle of the night and break a hip. That's not something people
So I
used
have
to
sanity
speak
to
about.
be a parent, or I have patience, or I have the energy and endurance to keep up with them because, our kids want to play with us, right? So
Right.
it is about so much more. And I think what's really interesting is that has been an evolution for me because, it does evolve and change as you get older, right? That sometimes when
Mhm.
you're younger, it is more about how you want to look, especially when you deal with the pressures of society of how you're supposed to look and things like that. And I think what's interesting is typically, and what I'm praying is that with my younger clients, I'm helping educate them now to create this mindset and shift their relationship with movement to not be a have to, but a get to. That this is about so much more than how you look or what size jeans you're wearing. That this is about um, combating depression. It's about stress
Mhm.
management. It's about anxiety management. It's about peace of mind. It's about feeling strong to do life stuff. And not everybody maybe has hard things, but in my experience and the people that I'm around on a day to day basis, when you actually have open dialogue with people, you recognize that everyone has hard stuff.
Yeah.
The problem is not everybody's comfortable talking about it and it isn't really normalized. And so you feel isolated and alone when you're going through hard stuff, when really you realize it is way more normal to be going through hard stuff than it is not. And you might be going through a little bit of hard stuff, or you might have a lot of hard stuff. But what I would love to educate my community is that I want you, of course, when they are with me for that, however long they choose, because we can chat about that later about the length of time. But if someone chooses to spend 5 or 10 minutes with me or do a whole class, either way, I want them to walk out or log out and feel more empowered and feel mentally stronger and emotionally stronger to go tackle hard life stuff. And of course the physical strength is important, and of course core strength and balance and function, being able to functionally exist and do day-to-day life better physically. But I also want them to walk out and be like, life threw me this curveball, and you know what, I'm trained for this, I'm mentally strong, and I can do this, right? And um, that is something that I feel like not everybody speaks about. And so when my clients hear that multiple times a day from me, and then if they were around me for a long time, because some of my clients have been with me for, 5 and 10 and 15 and 20 years, you know, I joke and say, I'm going to brainwash you over time, in a positive, loving way to believe that you can go do hard things. And so it's, movement and fitness and working out or exercise or however you want to speak about it, for me has just evolved to become so much more about training people to go live life stronger and better. It's not, their muscles are going to get more toned, they're going to lose weight, they're going to have stronger bone density, they're going to, have lower cholesterol, they're going to have, better heart health, they're going to have more endurance, they're going to have all these incredible physical benefits. But the thing that they're going to hear from me messaging wise is I'm not going to talk about their size. I'm not going to talk about their weight. We're not even going to talk about body fat or, scales or anything. We're going to talk about how do you feel? How do you feel to go do things? And when people feel stronger and feel more confident and feel more empowered, that means I've given someone a gift that can go into their life in a multitude of ways. And that is the kind of thing that I live for and what I do every day.
I love that. I love, love, love that. I definitely think a lot of our listeners would like to maybe fit into a smaller pair of jeans, maybe, but so many of them, and I just hear this from patients and from people I talk to, it's about being able to do the things that they love, whether it's playing with their kids, a pickup soccer game in the yard, to hiking, to, being able to get on the floor with their grandkids and play, just to feel like they can
Yes.
live free of pain more often than not and enjoying life. It's not about going and grabbing a smaller pair of jeans the next time they're at the Bon Marché, or no longer exists, sorry, Nordstrom's,
Oh, I
or,
know all about the
department
bombers.
store. Bon Marché? Yeah. Definitely my first nice retail job was the Bon
Yes,
Marché many years
yes,
ago. Just programmed in, right? But yeah, I think so many patients are, and just people in general are realizing that physical health and mental health are linked, and it's about not just one cookie cutter size fits all. It's about how do I feel throughout the day, having moved my body or not moving my body. How is my mindset affected? um not necessarily just with the hard stuff, not just with the good stuff, but in general, when I look back through my day, am I better for it? Did I try and fail? Because I rather have people fail a lot because they tried, because they felt good enough, worthy enough to try and fail.
absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
life is hard. And,
Life,
gyms did shut down with COVID, and exactly the gym of which you were speaking of. And I think so many of us didn't realize how much we relied on a safe space or just a space to work on our physical and mental health. Can you tell me a little? And the gyms reopened, right? So many gyms reopened. A lot of them are no longer just virtual at this point. And yet, I feel like a lot of us are struggling to get back into a maybe an old habit or a old routine. Maybe those don't serve us anymore. Is there something that we can that you can talk to us about in regards to like getting started again, or for the
yeah, I
seventh,
mean,
eighth,
I
10th
think,
time?
that this is hard, and I also always normalize with people that if you're struggling, it's normal. Even my most regular clients, whether their regular is 1 day a week or 2 days a week or 3 days a week, um, it is normal to struggle. It is normal to be unmotivated. It is normal to feel like I don't really want to do this today. That I don't feel like for the average person doesn't love exercise. They love how they feel when they're done doing it.
Those
so
endorphins, man.
so the thing that's really interesting that I have found is I feel like it is common for people to want the circumstances and the conditions to all be sort of ready and lined up and good, right? So, well, it's just not a right
Perfect.
time. It's
They
not.
want the
It's not the
perfect.
right time. It's not the right time right now because I have this going on, or it's not the right time because my kid is this old, or it's not the right time because I'm dealing with this shoulder thing, or it's not the I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, I don't have a. It's not close enough. It's human nature to come up with all of these reasons why now isn't a good time, right? Or even once they're in a program. And I feel like the message that I would encourage people to hear is start where you are. The conditions are never going to be perfect or right. You're never physically, when you get older, you're never physically going to feel amazing and perfect from head to toe. You're going to have a little bit of this in your back, a little bit of this in your knee. And I say to my clients, we focus on what we can do, not what we can't. So here's the deal. We need to just do upper body right now because you're dealing with some knee stuff, or we need to just do lower body because your right shoulder's hurting. We got to do what you can do and not focus on what you can't. So starting where you are with what you have, and I mean, it's the idea of just starting, and that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I think sometimes, and I've fallen into this trap, especially with food, is you think, well, I either eat good and clean and healthy or I don't. And it's like, well, I either work out or I don't. I would encourage people to say some is always better than none.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have 5 minutes, go for a walk. Walk up and down your stairs once in your house and sit back down. Do a, march in place, put on your favorite song and have a dance party. do a wall sit, do a plank, do a squat. Like, because the thing is, it doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes. The message I say to my clients all the time, and they are absolutely brainwashed in a positive, wonderful way to say, all I had is 10 minutes today, Marissa, but I did 10 minutes. Good
That's
for you.
awesome.
You did 10 minutes. And I think sometimes we set unrealistic goals that are not manageable or maintainable. So the thing is people go, well, what do you think I should do? And I say, well, what's realistic for your life? They said, well, right now, one day. Fantastic. One day. One day is better than 0 days. Really? Do you think that that's enough? Because it's not really enough. It's better than nothing. It all counts. It all adds up. And we got to start somewhere. And honestly, this to me is about, you got to start to create a habit. And
Oh, I
habit
love that.
is so much more reliable and trustworthy than motivation. So if I waited to feel motivated every day to do whatever it is, I might really struggle. But if I have a habit, if the habit is, this is just what I do, it's just what I do. I may not feel like it today, but on Mondays I do this, or on Wednesdays I do this, or it's like creating those important appointments that are for yourself that you stick to because they're important. And it may be really, really, really hard at the beginning, and it might always be hard. But if it's your habit, you can default to, today I'm not motivated at all, but my habit is, this is what I do. I go for a walk, or I do a boot camp, or I do a Zumba class, or I do whatever it is that inspires me to move and want to show up. But I think this idea of just starting where you are and not waiting for everything to be aligned and good, and because here's the deal, we're all busy. We're all busy. We're all juggling. Nobody I know has an exorbitant amount of time to just, today I feel like working out for 2 hours. It's everybody I work with is literally juggling 5 to 10 to 100 balls, and they're like, how can I fit this in? And if it's their habit, it's what they do. But if they didn't have the habit, they would just forever be starting and stopping, starting and stopping, starting and stopping, and it would never be. But you got to start, right? You got to just start with the babyest, tiniest, smallest step, and then create that habit. And maybe the habit is, I'm going to walk to my mailbox and back 2 times a day. And then you work your way up to walking a little further than the mailbox, or walking a little bit further than, you just have to. And then when you have the habit, you crave it. Your body will crave it, your mind will crave it, and you'll want to move because it makes you feel good. It's
And
not such a struggle.
so what I'm hearing is, don't let perfection be the enemy of the good enough. And just to start where you are, do something and just start. I talk with patients and just people in my family, in my everyday life, about data. We need data, right, to track. But sometimes that data is just sitting and brainstorming what steps we need to take, and then putting it on our calendar so that we can look at our calendar and say, like, oh yeah, I said I was going to do this right now. And
Well,
what about planning? Is there some pre-contemplation steps or some planning steps that you found that can help folks take more concrete steps towards creating a habit?
I think what you're saying, Rachel, is right on the money, which is, if we don't create if we don't make that appointment, right? And the appointment doesn't mean at a gym or in a class, but I'm saying, like, if we don't sit down and say, based on my schedule today, this is where I could squeeze in 5 or 10 minutes. And we don't schedule it. It is human nature to keep pushing it aside. Things are going to keep coming up. Life is going to keep coming up, especially when you're juggling working and being a parent. Like, there's never enough time. And so, I am one of those people that is incredibly compassionate and incredibly understanding, but I'm also honest enough with my clients to say, here's the deal. You either want this or you don't. And if you want it, you're going to find a way to do it. If it's not important and it's not a priority, you're going to keep pushing it aside. But you are a priority and you are important. And so is you being feeling good and feeling strong and being able to control what you can control. So if what is manageable for you is 5 minutes, schedule the 5 minutes and do something, right? Schedule it and then stick to that appointment just like you would if you made a hair appointment or a facial or a massage. Nobody cancels those appointments for nothing. They're like, I have a hair appointment. Like that's hey, you're gonna have to wait. I have a hair appointment, right? But how much of the time do we go, my movement break or my exercise or my workout can just
Or my
wait?
sleep or my, meal prepping or whatever it
All the
is.
things, all the things. Because here's the deal: there's a million things. We're all trying to do it all, and the thing is that what is realistic for you to actually stick to is important. Because I'll have clients say to me, "I'm going to start this program and I'm going to do 5 days a week," and I'll say,
Okay.
if you don't mind me giving you a suggestion, I would suggest to you that if you are starting from zero, start with one or two and master one or two to where it becomes your habit and it feels good and you're sticking to it. Because if I say I'm doing zero, my goal is 5, and I only do 2 that week, I only do 2, that's not a failure. That's a huge win. That's 2 more than 0. But in someone's brain, they have set themselves up to fail to say, but I only did 2. It's like, but you did 2 more than 0.
I
That's
love that
that's a win.
reframe. I
That's
love
a
that
win.
reframe. That's a win.
So let's not say 5. Let's say 2 or let's say 1 and then master that. And then
The
if you feel like
bonus
it's
days.
manageable, build up to 2 or build up to 3 or build up to 5. My
Well,
clients do it all the time.
I want to maybe, I just want to say, if I was a builder of a house, I wouldn't start with putting the windows up first. I would start with the foundation. And it sounds like what you're saying is in your life, in your habit, in creating a habit, you need to have a foundation. And just like the foundation is something that's reasonable and just solid, like 1 or 2 days, if you're starting from zero, would be a good goal. And it could be 5 minutes. It could be walking to your mailbox to go get the mail. That's your foundation. And then if you are able to do more, it's like the house is being built ahead of schedule. Maybe you're putting up walls and, if you're really on top of it at some point sooner, you're going to end up to the point where you're planting, the garden or the flower beds. But just you have to start with that foundation, just pouring that foundation. And if that's 5 minutes a day, if that's one, Taylor Swift song or dance party with your kids, or starting with even just stretching, that's where to go.
Any
But that you have to
any
schedule it and treat it like an appointment with your hairdresser or any professional
Well,
like
and
that.
all movement counts. And I feel like I have clients all the time will say to me, I only did this today or I only did that. And I'm like, let's get the word only out of your vocabulary, because the thing is, be proud of yourself for doing anything. Something is better than nothing. And the thing that is pretty common, I feel like, is when you are starting a program or restarting a program, whatever your program looks like. And when I say program, I just mean, you want to, we're all on this quest to, well, not everybody, but you hope that everybody wants to be around a long time and have quality of life and feel good and be healthy and control what we can control within what's in our control, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I have clients often who, I have to have pep talks with them to say, let's get out of this mindset of giving me this disclaimer. Like, I'll get a text message the day of a class and it'll say, just so you know, I'm going through this and this and this today, and I'm not going to probably have a lot to give in class tonight. And I'll text them back and I'll say, what do you think I'm going to text you back right now? Right? And 99.9% of the time, they text me back what I would have said to them, because they know what I'm going to say, which is, you show up, you do what you can, how you can, you give yourself grace, you pat yourself on the back for showing up even when it's hard, and you do something, because doing something is better than doing nothing. right? It's so important that we give ourselves grace and we be kind to ourselves and we speak kindly to ourselves to say, I am really proud of myself for making time for this today because I am important and I am worthwhile and I am a priority and I am going to be a better mom or a better employee or more productive or more I'm going to have more patience. I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to be better as a result of this. Um, but I also think that some of it, Rachel, is that people don't know what it feels like to feel strong and to feel confident and to feel empowered. So honestly, speaking to the person that has never moved or exercised, those people probably see posts of mine and think, blah, blah, you're a fitness person. You're supposed to say that. And it's like, I haven't always felt this way about movement, right? This has been a journey for me also. And what I would give anything for is that someone who has never done it before sticks with it long enough to actually get to the point where they know what it feels like to feel better and feel stronger, because then it won't ever be as hard again because they'll know what they're missing. And sometimes when people have never done it, they think it is all about being a certain size or fitting into the jeans or being whatever. They don't understand that this is about, man, I can feel less stressed and less anxious and less depressed and more confident in my life.
Mhm.
I've never felt this before. And when someone tastes that because they have created the habit to just move 5 minutes a few times a week, and now that's their habit, now they know what they're missing and they understand what people like you and I are so passionate about, which is I want you to feel good. And I know that this is going to do such an amazing thing for you, but you got to do it long enough to get to where it feels you actually get to get all the benefits. And if you
Yeah.
only do it 1 week or two times, you're going to never feel that. And you're going to start over and stop and start over and stop and start over and stop for the rest of your life.
I'm pretty sure you just described the personality trait of grit. It's the perseverance of effort that helps people overcome obstacles or challenges to accomplish something. Grit drives people to achieve something, and it's just even in in the face of daunting circumstances, exhaustion, kids, what life. It's just this non-cerebral thing where people just keep on plugging away, doing the best they can, showing up, even if it's 5 minutes. I love it. I love it. And grit is something I think we don't talk about enough. And it's something I definitely want to teach my kids. And it, the thought occurred to me, I do my best to be an involved parent, and it's hard, right? I, you're always on emails or talking to patients. Patients have emergencies. This job is not a 9 to 5 job. It's like patient emails and emergencies happen after hours, which is, family time. I try my best to be present, but I also want to model self-care and self-love because I've got a daughter who's 8 and a son who's 5, and they both deserve to grow up in a house with a mom and a dad who aren't perfect, who demonstrate how to be perfectly imperfect, but also model self-care because kids are watching. So it occurs to me that I my physical activity is modeling and normalizing what I want my kids to be. Physically healthy and active. They don't have to be a certain size, wear a certain clothing size, or be certain height or shape. It's to be strong and healthy. And getting my physical care in maybe could be combined with what they need, right? I talked about wanting to be able to just to pick up and play soccer with my kids or do a dance party to whatever YouTube thing or kids pop song that's the rage right
That's my
now.
life every single
Um,
day.
oh
Yes.
yeah. It's like, mom, 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 from the moment you get up to the moment they're on the bus to school. And then as soon as they're home, they're like, God, give me a snack and let's do this. And you're just like, okay. But how is there any tricks you've discovered being a working mom to involve your kids in just your self-care routine that might help our busy parents and listeners who are parents incorporate both self-care and time with their family? I
Yeah,
know
I mean,
we
I
don't.
think that there's kind of two sides to that because here's the deal. I mean, fundamentally, our reality is our reality, meaning not everybody has the luxury of being able to drive to a workout place and spend an hour. Um, Not everybody even can. I mean, there's a lot of very real life stuff that prevent people. That's why I don't really love the word excuses, because they're real life things that you have to figure out, and obstacles how to navigate.
Kitchen
Because
table, checkbook, things matter. It's part
and
of
it's not, I mean, excuses, people go, "Oh, it's just put your excuses aside." Well, it's not really excuse. It's more like, this is my life and these are my circumstances and these are my realities and obstacles. And I got to figure out a way to, how am I going to do this? So there's,
resource allocation. Resource
two,
allocation.
two things you said to me. I mean, one is the messaging component is incredibly valuable, because simply just having consistent conversations, not sitting them down with no interruptions and we have to have this important talk. I'm talking just in passing, the constant messaging that is in coming out of your mouth that your child absorbs because we know they hear everything and they see everything, is speaking about taking care of ourselves and feeling strong and being healthy, and knowing that we're important, to take care of ourselves. And it's this message of, mommy does this so I can be strong for you and play with you and feel good and be happy and have these conversations that are about, I'm not, my mom didn't exercise when I grew up. So I didn't have the role model that was, because I have lots of clients who watched moms
Mhm.
who only exercised because they had weight struggles, right? So
Right.
they grew up with this hard message that they've had to sort of shift, which is exercise was more of a punishment. It wasn't, mommy's going to do this to take care of ourselves and feel happy and feel good. I'm doing this because mommy wants to be smaller. Mommy needs to lose weight. So
Mhm.
it's never those messages would I ever
Think
want one
about
of my clients.
think about all those 80s films where mom
Oh
was
my,
in sweats and jazzercising, or doing this crash fad something something to get
all
ready for something.
everything. So I think part of it is the messaging, is just being aware of your conversation around why you do it. So I have a handful of clients that do struggle. They do make the time to come, and they have conversations with their children before they leave, because there's their kiddos saying, "But mom, why are you going to Marissa's gym right now? I want to play with you." And the conversation they are having with their child is, because mommy needs to take care of herself and mommy needs to be happy and strong and healthy so I can play with you and be a better mommy to you. And it's this message of, mommy's doing this as something that's because I'm important and mommy loves herself and mommy wants to be really good at loving you, right? It's because, and then their kid is, the message is, she's not going to the gym because she's fat or she ate too much today. She's going because she wants to feel good. And that is powerful. That's incredibly powerful. But for the parents that can't get away, that
Mhm.
can't leave their house, um, a lot of my clients, that's why they're virtual. They're virtual because then that excuse, which is not an excuse, their reality of, I can't leave my house. So now, guess what? Mommy and kiddo are exercising together. Now they involve the kids into the workouts with them. They have them sit by them. They have them, and whether they do very much of it, they're watching mommy do this thing or dad to take care of themselves. And, mom is saying, "Come on, do a couple squats with me. Let's do a plank together. Let's do this." So it's becoming this thing that they do together. It's kind of a chaotic experience. It's maybe not as relaxing because they're not able to just tune everything out and just be present to themselves, because they're still being a mom. They're still being a dad. They got to make sure their kid's safe and, not running out of the room or out the front door. But they're making it happen. They're doing what they can, how they can. They're getting movement in, whether they're doing the whole workout or part of the workout. Their kid is seeing them show up to make the time for it because it's important. And now they got some movement in, maybe not all of it. Maybe it wasn't super relaxing, but they feel better and they kind of got their kid moving too. And if that's not realistic, finding things that they can do to it that they enjoy together, like you said, kicking a ball around, having a dance party, finding cool, silly things. Xavier and I, that's my little boy, do hot lava and, freeze tag and dance freeze dance. And, we do things that involve a lot of movement because he thinks they're fun and it makes me move. I don't need more movement. I have plenty, but I want to be able to do that with him. And if that's how I get my movement in, then, or it could be that we go on a walk, or it could be, it has to be, fundamentally all of this, Rachel, has to be about things you slightly enjoy, right? Like you got to find the thing that makes you want to show up, and
Right.
or the person or the community. So for me, I'm blessed enough that people are showing up because they want to be with me. They're showing up because they want to be around the community. They're showing up because virtually because they know I'm going to notice when they didn't show up, and they have a reason to be someplace because a person is expecting them. So for some people, it's about accountability to a person, like me, or somebody. For other people, it's about, I love hiking, so hiking's my thing, or I love Zumba. And so but you have to find something or someone that is motivating or inspirational enough to make you want to show up for the 5 minutes or the 45 minutes, whatever it is. So kiddos are watching all the things. And what I
The
love
brains,
is,
even if I just want to let our listeners know that our kids are learning all the time. Even if they aren't physically doing something, the neurons in their brain are firing as if they're doing it when they're watching their parents do something. So, bad habits, good habits. If your kid's watching you, their brain, the neurons are firing as if they are doing it, and it will cement those habits in their brain. So, if you're doing things that maybe we would frown on, like, I don't know, smoking, and you do it in front of your kids, not only are they getting the secondhand smoke, they're also, their brains are having the neurons fire as if they were smoking themselves. So if they watch you exercise, if they watch you, practice calming things, if they watch you do what we as society think of as positive behaviors, your kids are doing them too, even if they're physically not getting up to move their body or doing the actual activity.
well,
It
it's
really
so
matters.
incredibly
Neuromimicry.
powerful when you think about the fact that you're modeling for your child the importance of self-love and self-care. What kind of message that can translate into their entire existence is really cool. And I think about that all the time. I have tons and tons of moms that work out with me, and they get a Mother's Day card where, they'll say, "Mom, look at the picture I drew of you. Those are your muscles." Right? Or, "Mom, I think you need to go see Marissa because you're having a hard day, and I know that you'll feel better if you
Oh,
move your body and you feel and you spend some time," right? So there are really cool, powerful things going on that you won't necessarily know, and they're going to come out in glimmers. Or your kid just starts like, "Mom, look at, I'm doing some push-ups, or I'm doing a plank right now. Watch me, watch me." Or, "Look at what I set up in the playroom. I set up this workout, and we're going to run to this and do this, and then we're going to do 5 jumping jacks." That wasn't anything you ever did, but they watched what you were doing, and then they went and did that on their own. And it's like, you think about, your child's going to grow up with this positive idea of what movement does for you, instead of battling it their whole life, which is what I did for years. The whole first half of my life was, I hate exercising, I hate working out, this is punishment, this sucks, I don't like it, I don't. And now I'm like, I love it. I love it because it how it makes me feel,
it's
right?
pretty
I
powerful.
love that I can do all the things Xavier wants me to do with him. That is the, but I think about, if I had learned that lesson as a little girl, how long it took me to undo the relationship I had with exercise. Years. Because of what I saw as modeling. Not because my parents did anything wrong, but
Yeah.
because what was around me at that time, being raised with a single mom and who didn't exercise, was all I saw in the media and around me was, you only did it if this or this. And now I'm helping this generation of children with their parents that move with me, because all of those kids are going to grow up and go, I do this because it makes me feel good. I do this because I want to
Marissa,
live a long time.
You're treating so many generations just by offering Happy Hour by Marissa in Kirkland, Washington. And you mentioned your son. Last year, I remember seeing Xavier at the gym. Actually, I've seen him at the gym
Oh,
many times. He's such a cutie. But I think it was a summer camp event that you had designed
yeah.
specifically for kids. And if we lived just a little closer, I would have been there. It was just so adorable. Are you offering that again this year, the
Yeah, so
summer
this
camp?
is I had to clearly take a little break from, during the pandemic, but it is back. It's 1 week in August. This particular, I always sort of put a vote out to the community and say, would these dates, or these dates work the best? And then we pick the one that works the best for everybody. So it's August 26th through 30th. And it's just midday. It's 4 hours. It's 11:30 to 3:30, but it is with the intent to try to cultivate some of these things we've been talking about the whole time we've been together today, which is teaching them about community, teaching them about healthy movement, teaching them about managing emotion. And when you're feeling really overwhelmed and stressed out, maybe doing some movement will help you. We do workouts and we do lots of games because you know kids want to play, so we play. But that means lots of movement. That means obstacle courses and you know, water balloons and relay races and, a lot of, because I want them to have a great time, right?
Mhm.
We make lunches together. So we talk about, you know, food as fuel and how you can get different things from different kinds of foods and the value of trying something new. We do some art. So we do, I try to incorporate, it's mostly movement because I'm a gym. So we're not going to do all art, but I will absolutely kind of put that in. And it's really just about um, play, but it's also about, my little boy has Down syndrome, and I am incredibly passionate about helping educate children about acceptance and inclusion and being kind and encouraging each other. And so, kiddos of all kinds will come hang out with me, but then it's a lot about how can we encourage each other? How can we support each other? What does it look like to be part of a team? What does it look like to be kind to someone? What does it look like to not be kind? We talk about bullying. We talk about how people are different and the beauty of difference. And so there's kiddos on the spectrum that come to camp, and I don't have Xavier in camp yet because he's not quite at the place where um, he would want mommy all to himself, and I got to be able to be present to these other kiddos. But it's they all know him, and he comes the final day, and we do, put the bouncy house up and do all kinds of fun games and do water balloon tosses and squirt gun fights, and but it's I want kiddos to walk away and not only maybe feel like have a different approach towards movement, but also go out and hopefully be kinder kids to their friends and their classmates. And so it's a little different than a typical camp. I hope that it's valuable. I hope that kiddos are learning the value of being kind and the value of being um, a good person and giving teammates encouragement when they're down. When you see somebody struggle, remind them you can do it. And so we do a lot of, we get points throughout the week when we see examples of teamwork and kindness and inclusion. And so, that's from day one is how are we going to get points all week, guys? Because the more points you get, the more time in the bouncy house you get. So, so then even if it's kind of ingenuine at the beginning, where they might say, good job, Rachel. And they may not really genuinely mean it because they want a point for the bouncy house. By the end of the week, I'm seeing kids unsolicited, cheer each other on or tell them, oh, you're doing such a good job with that, or good try, and that's, to me, that's a special thing because hopefully that can translate outside of the week with me.
I love that. Sounds like over the course of a week, you're creating this community, this
I hope so.
It just sounds such a magical thing. I wish we had more emphasis on that in schools and in sports teams. It's the kindness, the crafting of communities that are loving and accepting, not just a very specific, you're going to run these laps, you're going to do this 3-point shot this many times to create the muscle memory, but creating the cohesive, both physical mechanics as well as the mental mechanics and community. Because I mean, the Mariners, who lifelong fan through the good seasons and bad, they aren't just the pitcher, they're not just the shortstop, they're the community, and it has to be all of them working together to really achieve a successful season. And just as it is with any society, when
Well, and I
we
think
stand divided, it's just easier to be downtrodden and not have the external motivation or internal motivation to do more and to be better for ourselves and for the people who notice when we don't show up. I love that. And just starting when kids are kids. So cool. It's so
it's
cool that you
powerful
offer
stuff.
that. And you said that's in August, right
That's in
before back to
August.
school, it sounds like.
Yep, August 26th through the 30th. So
Well,
it's fun. I'll have having a kiddo with special needs is interesting because you realize that there aren't necessarily lots of opportunities where for me, if I'm looking at a summer camp for my kid, I 100% am not going to just sign them up and drop them off. I out of respect for Xavier and out of respect for that camp, I have to have a very open dialogue to say, this is what you can expect. And is that something that you guys can actually accommodate? Right. And most camps will say, no, we can't accommodate that. And, and I get it. But I have, had special needs kiddos in the past come to my camps, and to me, it's a beautiful thing that their parent would trust me. But what's more beautiful is that kiddo has an opportunity to go to a camp and play and do what every kiddo should be able to go do. And does that mean it's a little bit more work on my part? 100%. Is it worth it for me to
100%.
create that experience for that kiddo, to create that experience for their parent, and to also expose all of the other kiddos who maybe don't always have the opportunity to be around kids who are different than them, because it's valuable for them to also learn what different looks like. And that this isn't just about a bunch of super athletic kids that can do all the things. This is about, kids that might not be coordinated. They might struggle with staying on task. They might struggle with being able to do something physically, right? And then we encourage each other, right? Because that's important. So I think that it translates beyond, um, I don't market it that way because it's not purposely meant to be a summer camp that is, but I would 100% encourage, people to find places that can accommodate their child, because all kids deserve to go to summer camp if they can,
Oh, absolutely. If they can, economically and just
they can.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's normalize just every body being the right body. Everyone's the right body.
Yeah.
Could you, I hope you just have a couple more minutes. I've got a few questions that I think are a little bit more general and maybe there's no right answer.
Sure.
Um, could you settle a debate I've had with others, and I know many people have the same question? What's the best time of the day to work out? If you're at the point where you've got a habit of walking to your mailbox or the dance party and you're ready for something that's more routine based, is there a perfect time or a better than not good time to work out or move your body if you're looking for a routine?
I have a pretty strong opinion about this, Rachel, and so you might not love my answer. I think the
Okay.
perfect time is anytime you can absolutely do it. I mean, the thing is back to when we talked about starting or restarting, is if it's not realistic for you, you're not going to do it. It's hard enough, right? So for me, if I said, well, morning, because it gets your metabolism going and it's a great way to start your day. Well, maybe for some people, if they could do mornings, I could never work out in the morning. It's impossible for me with my life, right? Now, if somebody else says, oh no, because it's right before bed and then you're going to sleep good and you're going to, well, that's not realistic for lots of people either. What's realistic is your normal is your normal. Your challenges are your challenges. Your life is your life. Your everybody's normal looks different. And the right time is anytime you can get it in my opinion. Right? I mean,
And maybe
it's
it
anytime.
depends on the day and the type of movement too
And life. I mean,
in life.
it's life. People will go, I'm really sorry that I didn't make it, blah, blah, blah. I'll say, is everything okay? Is everything like, well, I have this and this. It's called life. Like we're all navigating life. And like I said, I know they exist out there, but I think the average person has a lot going on, juggles a lot of things, is managing a lot of stuff and a lot of, pieces of the puzzle. And they're just trying to do the best they can. And I think showing up whenever you can show up is, it's about showing up, period.
I love that. I love that. Love, love, love that. Um, I love how down to earth and practical you are. Just come as you are, show up and do what you can. No excuses, just as who you are. I just, I can see your grad school psychology being employed and just like everything you do. And it's also clear that you just love people and you love building this community at Happy Hour by Marissa in Kirkland, Washington, and just online too. And it's just a joy. I mean, I would love to, I love being around people who are just genuine like you are. And it's just, it shines through in everything you've said today and everything
Thank you.
I've ever seen. Thank you so much for just being you.
Thank you for saying that.
Would
I,
you,
I, I think that it's just important that people, everyday average people who are just doing the best job they can to be a good human and a, good parent if they're a mom or dad or, I think that it's challenging to do all the things and you can't be perfect at all the things and you might not even be good at all the things, but you can show up and you can do your best. And, it's showing up, whatever that looks like is gonna, it's 100% looks different every day. Some days you feel like you can conquer the world and you're wearing a superhero cape and you can do everything and you feel like I have it together today. And the next day you feel like you can't. I mean, I have had to pep talk myself starting at 6 o'clock in the morning about how the heck am I going to survive today. And I think that if we can just, you know, normalize the struggle and the challenge, and then positive is one thing, right? I consider
Mhm.
myself a positive person. I work hard at it, but that is the mindset is a practice thing. I tell my clients all the time, we're training our mindset just as much as our muscles. We're training our minds, and our minds, we are training them to say, I move because I can. I am blessed to be able to move. I do this because this is a form of self love and self care, and I can do hard things. And even if on days you don't feel like you can do hard things because you don't feel like, it's fake it till you make it. It's fake it till you make it. You talk yourself into it. And if you have those default mindset kind of phrases you say to yourself on the hard days, you need to pull those out and be like, okay, I can do hard things. I can do today. And I think that's important to just be candid and honest and authentic about, because so much of the time it's these positive fitness role models and all they do is talk about positive. And it's like, you know what? Life isn't always positive. Life's hard. And showing up to move your body and exercise is freaking hard. So let's talk about the fact, good for you for doing this today. Every single time my clients show up, the first thing out of my mouth is, I am so proud of you for showing up because you made today happen. You chose it. You purposely got some things in place to make it happen. This wasn't handed to you. You worked for this. And so whether you're going to be here for 5 minutes or the whole time with me, I am just take a moment and be proud of yourself. And that, I think that's important, because even it's not easy for people that even have awesome habits. It's hard. And I don't know anybody who's just breezing through all the time. It's hard.
It is hard. Marissa, is there anything else you'd like to tell our listeners?
Oh goodness. I've
So
had
many
lots to
things.
say. I've had lots to say. I mean, if if you are a listener and you are struggling, um, because here's the deal, like do this because you can, not because it's a chore or a have to. It's like when you wake up in the morning and you actually woke up, which is something lots of us take for granted. We wake up and we're like, well, it's another day. It's like, well, not everybody woke up today, right? We woke up. That's blessing number one. When you can put your feet on the ground and stand up and you have a body that is actually able, it's something we take for granted so much of the time. And I want people to move their bodies because they can move them. Because the thing is, at some point, when you can't, for whatever reason, you're going to wish you did. And so if we do it because, and it might be a struggle and it might be hard and it might be, you might feel like it's a chore when you start, but when it becomes a habit and you receive all of the benefits physically, emotionally, psychologically, you will realize that this is something that is a blessing, not a burden. It's not a, oh God, I got to go do that today. I got to go do my walk, or I got to go lift my weights, or it's like you realize, like, you know what? I know people that are bedridden right now, or I know people who are in a wheelchair right now, and they'd give anything to walk to the mailbox or do a squat. And here we are like, well, I just don't feel like it today. It's like, my clients just know that if there's one thing they're going to hear from me every single time they see me is, you are blessed to be able to do what you're about to do today. Don't take it for granted. I know it might not be something you really want to do today. You might be feeling sad or depressed or unmotivated, but you get to move your body. And that is a blessing and a gift every day that I think lots of us don't see as a blessing and a gift. We see it as a, oh, I got to go do this. And I just wish for anybody listening that when you wake up, whether it's crank up the music and move and dance and, you know, anything, just move your body because you can move it. Don't do it because anyone's making you do it. Don't do it because your doctor told you you have to. Recognize that there are people praying for the same, like, blessings you take for granted. There are people praying with every ounce in their might. I wish I could move today. And here we're using, I don't really feel like it. I don't really have time. I'm busy. It's like, well, but do you have 2 minutes? Do you have 5 minutes? Move it. Just do something, because not everybody is as blessed as you are to do it. Right. So that, to me, shifting our perspective to realizing that, movement is a beautiful, wonderful gift. This isn't something like, oh God, I got to go punish my body right now. It's like, oh my God, thank you, body, for letting me do this today. And that's a perspective that takes time to get. And if I could teach anyone to have that perspective and that relationship, that loving, nurturing, positive relationship with movement, that would be one of the greatest things I could ever give somebody. Because once you get that, you move because you can, not because, oh God, I got to go do this today. So that would probably be my greatest gift for anybody listening.
I love that. I love that. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Marisa.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking the time to be on the ReBootology Health Natural Solutions for the Health and Happiness of the Modern Woman podcast with me, Dr. Rachel Winstead. You can learn more about Marisa Mancke and Happy Hour by Marisa at happyhourbymarisa.com. I will also include this link in the show notes. If you'd like to hear more of this episode or a future episode, please check us out on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to check out our show notes and subscribe to the ReBootology Health podcast newsletter, where you'll get more great health tips as well as learn about upcoming interviews. I'm also going to drop a link to the Happy Hour by Marisa summer camp. So if you guys have kids and you live in the greater Kirkland area and would like to explore that summer camp option at the end of August, you'll just click on the link and it'll take you there. Have a great day, and I look forward to talking with you again soon.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I appreciate you.
I really appreciate you as well.
Take care.